Hi, everybody. My name is Reynolds from Van Ed Equipment, and today we're here to talk about one of my favorite manufacturers of the forestry mulcher and brush cutters. Best of all, they're located right here in BC, Canada, where we're at. And of course, I'm talking about Promac Equipment. And today I'm joined by Brent Barrage, OEM sales from Promac. Brent, thanks for taking the time to chat with us.
Thanks for having me here. I'm always delighted to talk about Promac and the equipment that we build.
We
Sure.
love Promac, not just because of the awesome machines that you make, but because, of course, you're on Vancouver Island, want to support local. And maybe you can tell a little bit about your company.
Well, Promac goes back to the 1980s, earlier actually, 1970s. It started out in Port Alberni. It's a contraction of Provincial Machine. It's a machine shop and fabrication company. And we first built our first brush cutter in 1980 for an excavator. And that's how we got into the brush cutter part of our business. We are now a company purely on our own. We are Promac Equipment, which is part of a larger group, Promac Group, which has sawmill equipment as well.
Fantastic. Well, I know that a lot of our customers have been asking about Promac equipment, specifically the R Series Forestry Cutter. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why it's so good and what it's used for?
The R Series really should be considered our flagship model. This was the first model that we designed back in 1980. So we've got some 45 years of expertise building this type of equipment. We have few peers in the space. It's really a large disc or flail blades on a flywheel that we can go into forests and take trees down quickly and leave debris.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, there seems to be a lot of features about the R Series after so much years of development. How does this stack up against some of the other competitors that you have in the space?
Well, there's few peers with a disc type cutter. Most companies seem to focus on drum type cutters, mulchers, and that's also what we get into. But really, the disc cutter is the brute flagship model of Promac equipment. It's specified by a number of customers in the Pacific Northwest for fighting wildfire, both during a fire and when there isn't a fire, for mitigation and protecting structures and lives.
So we talked about the disc type of the brush cutter versus some of the other ones. What makes a disc type more suitable for these type of needs than the other types?
Well, a disc type mulcher or cutter, if it's got the flail blades, is very useful in areas where you are more remote. It's extremely quick depending on the type of disc, and we have 3 different discs that we can put onto one head. That's one of the great things about the R Series, is that one head can take 3 discs by removing 8 bolts and swapping the disc out. So if you have wildfire mitigation where you must have a certain size of material left over, you can put a number of different tool combinations on one of our discs to achieve that end. If it's just doing roadsides, you can put on a different disc and achieve different results using that particular disc. It's a very versatile head. It's extremely robust. You can push it into the ground, move boulders with it. You can move logs. It's extremely utilitarian, especially if you're going to use it with a thumb. A lot of customers like to do that.
Fantastic. Talking about a lot of the development over the 45 years, how has it improved since its conception to what it is today?
Well, you can imagine in 45 years, both the carrier, the excavator itself has improved in its performance, and Promac has moved along with that particular technology. Motors are now piston type, which can enjoy higher pressures, which means we can get more torque and we can get more done. The things that are important to a brush cutter or mulcher is speed, a sharp tool, and torque. Well, today's excavators and a R Series, we can achieve a lot of torque, and we don't have to go through a belt and pulley system. We're fully direct drive. And that, when you talk to customers who are concerned about fleet management and repairs, this is very attractive to a lot of people by not having those extra moving parts and maintenance that goes along with them.
Yeah, that's very true. A lot of our customers, they want to make sure that they're always on the job and not taking very much downtime. Can you speak about the reliability of the R series and how that works compared to some of the other types of machines?
Well, 45 years of building this particular model, we can lean on our intellectual property, what works, what doesn't work, and how to get it done at the end of the day. We know that our bearing housing today has been in production for 15 years, and it is the seventh or eighth iteration of the bearing housing since 1980. The one that we're building now is absolutely bulletproof, and we are waiting for somebody to break it.
I guess that's a challenge accepted, depending on who we're taking a look at. That's pretty awesome. What's one thing about the R series a lot of people don't really realize they can do?
Well, there's not a lot that you can't do with an R series. It all comes down to the operator. I guess there might be some concerns with, well, what if I just want to do some ladder fuels and I want to do limb work on a tree? Well, if you're doing some understory brushing and you are taking care of those low limbs, those ladder fuels, you can, on the right hand side of that disc cutter, from the operator's point of view, come up the right side of a tree or the proper side of the tree for that disc and take care of the limbs. Anything falling inside that disc will get mulched. On the other side, it's wide open and we can take care of the limbs on that side with that side of the disc. And for the third side of a tree, if there's sides to a circle, we can use the bottom side of that disc and come up and take care of the ladder fuels. The back side of a tree, like anything, you're going to have a hard time getting to that side. So maneuver the carrier and take care of that side. It's really something I probably wouldn't think people are using it for, is just doing the ladder fuels.
So you talked about the Promac R series being very versatile. How is that achieved?
Well, of the three discs, you can swap them out easily. There's one disc in particular, the XM or Extreme Mulching Disc. That disc replaced a previous design that we had, which we called later the HP or High Productivity Disc. It employs the same tool options as that original disc, but we've converted to a standard sawtooth for the edge and the top of the disc. These teeth are available everywhere, and they're very easy to change, and they are aggressive when they are sharp. That particular disc, because of the design on top of the tool pattern on top of the disc, it's staggered in such a way that any material that ends up falling onto the top of the disc is pulled in and mulched and sent out the other side. So if you have customers that are brushing from left to right and right to left, and the optional right-hand door, is open, they can achieve this. Our competition, I think, sometimes has a difficulty doing left to right and right to left because one side might be entirely closed, where our optional door can be open or closed to allow material to come in on that side. So if you are out snipping treetops and that treetop falls into the top side of the disc, it comes out mulched before it hits the forest floor, and you don't have to deal with it there. And then you come down on that tree. If you have bullet-shaped bits and that bullet-shaped bit hits a large tree, it will split it like a malt axe and leave splinters on the forest floor. If the sharp quad bits happen to hit that standing tree or branches or limbs, it's more likely to end up in much smaller debris sizes, which customers might prescribe a certain debris size. So there's that particular tool, which adds more versatility. And then we have a blunt cupped bit, which is for work closer to the ground where you are going to hit rocks. And a sharp tool is not going to be as effective when it hits rocks. So we have that particular tool to give you a chip, but also do work around the ground.
That is a lot of different discs that we can use. Fantastic. So the R series sounds very versatile. Are there any options that we can add on to increase its functionality?
I'm glad you asked, Reynolds. There are three options for the R series. They are a left-hand chute, a right-hand door, and a nose cone. The left-hand chute is meant to gather thinner, finey materials and help direct it to the top of the disc. Excellent feature and really part of why that disc works well with the chute. So if you're dealing with viney maple, blackberry cane, and you want to help direct it to the top side of that disc, the bolt-on chute, fantastic. The right-hand door, open or closed, very simple. It's an option that every customer wants. And the nose cone for that bottom of the disc, it's a fantastic feature. It's not something that we've had for the longest time, but some customers have said, why don't we just protect those bolt heads? And why not? This is what we should do. Customers are asking, why not?
Well, the R Series seems to be very popular with our customers, but I noticed that there are other popular models within your portfolio as well. Can you speak about some of that?
Sure. One of our models is the LDM series. The LDM is a light duty, I guess you could say, drum mulcher. It was intended first for carriers from the 8 to 15 ton capacity, but we have a lot of demand because of the design. It is a direct drive, close coupled input. That means it doesn't have a belt or pulleys. That, again, is very attractive to fleet managers and owners because we have less moving parts to maintain or to fail. So that we are leaning on our experience with the R Series and that drive coupler. The R Series and the LDM series employs the same close coupled direct drive system. We use an isolation coupler, which isolates any catastrophic failure that might go into the motor shaft, which then becomes a very expensive repair. So this high uptime part is really the weak link in our entire system and is easy to replace and put back together, and you are back to work immediately. This technology has been used by Promac for decades. The elimination of the belt and pulleys has largely been driving this particular model. There is demand for it by municipalities and contractors who have to do mulching where structures, livestock, passing traffic, people, that the drum style mulcher is more appropriate because the operator can better predict where that debris path is going. As you can imagine, in a disc, it's 360 degrees off of the rotation of a disc, where in a drum, we can see that it's 90 degrees of the rotation of that drum, which is in line of the operator's boom. So that operator can keep chips from flying off of a road or going into a farmer's field. And that particular model, it was originally with a 55cc variable motor, and that was suitable for carriers, best for 25 to 27 gallons per minute. But the popularity of this model has meant that we are putting in a larger motor so that we can put it onto carriers that can offer 33 to 37 gallons per minute and have a direct drive mulcher head that is drum style. So that is really, those two models, the R Series and the LDM series, are the two that we really are proud of every day. Every day someone calls, we are extremely happy to talk about the R Series and LDM.
Fantastic. So throughout these 45 years of the, development of all of this, there must be a lot of innovation that's happening with Promac. Can you talk about how that works?
Constant innovation and improvement upon our designs is really what we're focused on. We are a boutique manufacturer. We can react quickly to customer interests in a particular feature that they might want to have us add into a design if it makes sense. And a lot of these things do make sense because our users are largely the ones that drive this innovation. They tell us what they want. We imagine it. We design it, we put it into production, and we test it, and we wait for the results. And I'm telling you, our customers are the most intelligent people out there. They tell us what they need to have done, and we get it done. And that's largely why this R Series looks the way it does today, based on this last few years of reimagining what the R Series looks like. Compared to the legacy design, it is very different, but it has the exact same purpose. Get rid of vegetation.
Fantastic. And how does somebody give feedback to Promac? Do you have a phone number to call? Do they talk to their sales reps? How do they get information back to you?
My number is online. My email is online. You can get a hold of me that way. You can get a hold of us in the direct phone number, the 800 number. We are always available, especially via online. We respond hopefully quickly enough, but if you want immediate action, just give me a call.
All right, fantastic. Well, that about wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this video and want to see more content about excavator attachments. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Once again, my name is Reynolds from Van Ed Equipment, your go-to source for excavator attachments, parts, rentals, and service. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.